whenever, let's say, someone does not get selected into the JEE advanced exam, they have this mentality that, okay, this exam has rejected me, which means there's something wrong with me and with my own capability to do something. So that becomes this invisible barrier for them in their brain. They're like, I'm just not as good as those people who are sitting in IITs, which is completely not true, right? So one random exam on one random day is dictating what you will do for the next 4 years, which makes no absolute sense for me.
Hey everyone, welcome to the next Tech Track interview. Today I'm talking to my friend Ishan, who is a student at BITS-Goa, and he's also a YouTuber. And so I'm really excited to talk to Ishan today about his experience in the Indian education system, his experience at college in BITS-Goa, plans for what you want to do after college, and also all the content creation that you do for the podcast, the YouTube channel, and so on. Before we get started, if you want to help me out, hit that like button on this video and subscribe so you can get notified when future videos come out. And also do the same thing for Ishan. So I'll leave links to Ishan's YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn in the description. So please support him as well. And I thought we could just get started by maybe giving a quick intro. I gave a very high-level intro, but maybe you could start out by saying, where did you grow up? What are you doing now?
Thank you so much, Rahul, for the long introduction. I am Ishan Sharma. I was born in Khandwa, which is a very small town in Madhya Pradesh, which is a state in India. Basically, I had a very strange childhood. So I was changing cities every single year. Okay, so I would be in Mumbai in 1 year, then I would be in Delhi in 1 year. I just kept changing all of these schools. I changed over 14 schools in 12 years of my life of being in a school. So that was really strange for me. One time I was doing like one semester at one school and then another semester at a different school. So that has been really a different experience, but I've definitely learned how to adapt to new surroundings, how to make friends at new places, how to communicate with new people. So that has been a really amazing experience for me.
Where were you right before you started, like right before 12, when you were applying to college? Where were you living at that point? And how did you think about the landscape of where you might be going to university?
Yeah, so in 11th grade, I was living in Delhi. And then in 12th, I moved to Mumbai. So 1 year I was in Mumbai, 1 year in Delhi. In Mumbai, I was only thinking of getting into the IITs, that is the premier institutes for engineering in India. And that is the only thing that I had in my mind. I never really thought about getting into BITS. I didn't even know the name of what BITS is and what it does. I had no idea of that sort. I was only focused on clearing IIT JEE Advanced. That's the exam for entering into it. But unfortunately, what happened is that I was just not in the right mood on that day of giving the exam. So I just messed it up. But I realized that there's nothing that I can do now. Okay, so when I was going back from the exam center to my house, I just realized that there's nothing that I can do now. Even if I cry, that won't help. What can I do now? The only thing that I could do is to move forward and see what is the next step. The next step was obviously for me coding, because that's what I've already been doing previously in 10th. But then because of JEE and pressure from other subjects, I had to drop it. That was an amazing day for me. I just went in, I installed Python, I got the Jupyter Notebook, Anaconda, and I started coding. So that was really amazing. After that, I thought, what college will I go then? If I'm not going to IIT, what will I go for? So I realized there's another college called as BITS and VIT. VIT is also called as Vellore Institute of Technology. And so I gave both of those exams, VIT and BITSAT. I got selected in both of them. In VIT college, I was getting computer science, but I didn't go for that because I was just hearing a lot of complaints that it is too overcrowded. They don't have good places to just live, and it's just not a good college to be in. And then I got electrical engineering at BITS. So I thought at least the living standard would be better at BITS. So I just went for it. And right now, I think that was a sound decision that I made. There were definitely some trade-offs, but I think that's completely fine.
I would like to get your opinion. So like in the US, it's not purely based on test score, whereas it sounds like in your experience, when you were driving back from the IIT examination, you kind of knew, okay, my score is probably not good enough for IIT, and you were kind of feeling a little bit down. In the US, it's much more holistic. It's your test score, what you're doing outside of school, have you done any volunteer work, research, things like that. So like, what is your opinion on, do you like the Indian system, or do you kind of wish there would be a more holistic approach of you as an applicant?
Yeah, so I was in a very strange state when I realized that I won't be getting into IITs, and as I started looking into what was a way for me to get into US colleges. So I just read up a lot of stuff on blogs and articles, and then definitely found Harnoor Singh in USA videos, wherein he's talking about how you can go from India to US. I was just learning all of that. I realized that I would have to drop 1 year in order to prepare for SAT and apply for it, because again, SAT was not happening in February, I think, in May actually. So it would happen later that year. So that meant I would have to just drop 1 year of my life, which
Yeah,
was completely not an option for me, because I just don't want to waste 1 year just because of some exam that I wanted to give.
totally.
So that's what I would say. And I feel that definitely, I think that the US system is a lot better. They not only take a look at your exam scores, but also other activities. So that's definitely an amazing thing. I just wish that something like this was also available in a country like India. But it just makes it a little bit harder for the colleges to assess you, because there's just so many of us.
Yeah.
Like, so because of that, they just have this one metric, JEE exam. What is your rank? That is what really matters over here.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But you know what
Interesting.
happens whenever someone gets whenever, let's say, someone does not get selected into the JEE advanced exam, they have this mentality that, okay, this exam has rejected me, which means there's something wrong with me and with my own capability to do something. So that becomes this invisible barrier for them in their brain. They're like, I'm just not as good as those people who are sitting in IITs, which is completely not true, right? So
Hmm.
one random exam on one random day is dictating what you will do for the next 4 years, which makes no absolute
Yeah,
sense for me.
100%. I
Yeah.
think that's a really important mentality. It's like you shouldn't have the test score dictate your own mental well-being or your future, right? That's just one particular day how you did, right? And I think that's a very
Yeah.
healthy mindset, the way you described it.
Hmm.
Okay,
Exactly.
so you're second year at BITS Goa right now, is that right? Okay,
Yeah.
and then with COVID, probably kind of you're back at home, right? And so
Yeah.
COVID, coronavirus, probably messed up the first year or second year of
It
your
definitely
schooling. But
did. The second
so,
semester, I was about to give my mid-semester exams of second semester, and I had no preparation. I was only focusing on my YouTube channel and other stuff. And I was just preparing for my first exam on that day. And luckily, the exam was on 5 o'clock. And I started preparing at 12 o'clock on the same day. Got an email at 2 o'clock which said, go back to your homes. We don't need you anymore. We were like, thank you so much. Okay. And literally by in the next 3 hours, the complete college was like 90% students were gone.
wow,
In just 3 hours, they booked the tickets, they went away. I
that's
went
amazing.
on the next day. So I just had a fun time just taking a look at the college completely empty, and only I'm there with the guards and security people.
Right, right. So I guess maybe my question is, prior to you going back home, how was your experience like living at BITS Goa?
Yeah, so my experience was really amazing. I think that the thing that really makes BITS stand out from the other private colleges is the amazing flexibility that it has. So again, as we've talked in the other episode that we did, basically BITS offers you something similar to what it is available in US colleges. So what you would do is that you get to decide what colleges or what classes do you need to attend, when do you need to attend, and then you can just make your own timetable, which is very much helpful. And then
Mhm.
after that, we have the 0% attendance rule, which is unheard of in any other college in India.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone has this 75% minimum criteria that you need to go for. And so I would definitely support BITS for that concept. And I've definitely taken a huge advantage of that 0% attendance policy. So yeah, that is what I think really makes it amazing. The first year was really incredible. I got to meet a lot of people. Connections that I made was really incredible. I was meeting with people who went to Stanford, who went to Harvard for their research internships in third year of college, and they were doing research in machine learning. And right now they are working at IBM and other places right after their fourth year of college. So I think that was really amazing for me.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like we had mentioned in the previous episode, the alumni network at BITS is pretty amazing, and you've been taking advantage of that, which is great. How has the shift to remote learning been with COVID, learning everything remotely through your computer? Has that been very difficult for you or for the college?
I think that for me, it has been really bad because I just don't like sitting at one place and just hearing to a lot of lectures for hours on end.
Yeah.
And that too, the professors are quite boring. And no offense to them. I mean, I understand. But honestly, it's just not the best way to learn something. So I just cannot have the patience to just sit through it. So that is what I did. I just stopped watching the lectures. Right now, I have my exam starting in 3 days. So I again started watching all of them. So Netflix is free right now for 3 days, for 2 days in India, and
Oh,
I'm just binging all of my seasons of digital design and electrical devices and all of those courses.
okay. No, and actually, this is a very good segue into kind of the next thing I want to talk about, which is that, I think a lot of the education when it's delivered over Zoom or online is not that good. And so a lot of people will turn to YouTube or maybe
Yeah,
podcasts. And I think you've been doing that for a while. Like, I don't know, maybe you can just
exactly.
give us a quick background. When did you start making YouTube videos? And a lot of your content, for people who aren't familiar with your channel, it is
Yeah,
educational. You're telling people, here's how you learn web design, here's how
yeah,
you learn
exactly.
JavaScript, here's how you learn Python, and you go through a lot of really helpful examples. And so talk about, when did you start that? And how do you think YouTube might influence education in India or worldwide?
Yeah. So my first video, I remember after 1 month in college, I had a lot of videos of just people doing amazing stuff in college, partying and other things. So I had all of those videos. I thought it would be cool for me to make like a combination of all of those videos, culmination of them, in which I'm just showing what all happened in the first month at college. So that's what I did. It took me like 3-4 days. I learned how to edit videos through that phase. I had like a very crappy laptop. It came with i5 second generation, and it has like 4 gigs of RAM. But it did not matter. I installed some random video editor software and I just made the videos. That was the first video. But after that, I think the videos that I actually started to make was in January 2020. The first video was just me, only audio podcast, in which I'm just introducing the podcast. That was on 8th of January. It is coming close, 2021. That would make it 1 year.
Mm.
But after that, I feel that I have just tried to experiment and just give whatever I can. Okay, so I feel that I have become empty, like an empty can. I have given out every single information that I have, and
Right.
right now I'm like, I need to learn a lot of things if I want to create more videos for that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what has been a shift for me. But definitely, I think that there's definitely a lot of scope for people who want to get education from YouTube. I have learned to code just using YouTube. Yes, I have taken a few Udemy courses, but that's it. A lot of the content I just use YouTube for learning it, and especially for my courses that I have in my college, I use multiple YouTube channels, and they have been really helping me out a lot. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's been an
I
amazing
think it's
time.
interesting. I think me and you are actually on a very similar path. Like, I started much later than you because I've already been working for a while, but about a year ago also is when I started doing YouTube.
Yeah,
So I think that, probably you'll agree. Like, there's so much that you learn in YouTube, right? Like, you learn how to edit videos, you learn how to make a script, you learn how to create something which people will actually watch. So I feel like,
it's a complete business.
yeah, it's a complete business. Yeah. So actually, that was my kind of next question, is that how, when you started, what was your motivation? And also, when you told your parents or your friends, like, okay, I'm starting a podcast or I'm starting a YouTube channel, what did they say? Were they supportive of you?
Yeah. So my motivation was to just help as many people as possible. I felt that the people that I was in contact with, they were just helping me out so much that I had this feeling inside of me that I need to contribute to other people as well. People who were not in colleges like BITS or IITs, they need to hear all of these opportunities if they don't even know that these things exist. This will propel forward when they will have their own kids, and they will also tell them that, okay, you have to get into IITs, or else life is not good for you. So I just felt that I need to do something like this. I know there are other YouTube channels as well that try to do the same thing. It's a very competitive niche right now. Just talking about coding in India as a college student, there are many YouTubers doing the same thing. I just try to come up with my own test, with my own spin into things. So that's what I would say regarding what the reaction my parents had. My parents have always been very much supportive. When I was in my 12th grade, my sister started her own YouTube channel wherein she used to review all of these books that you can see. So
Nice.
she would just take a book and she would just explain whatever happened in it. My father told her that if you want a new book, you need to review this other book that you already have and put that video on YouTube. So it was a nice tactic that he played on her. She learned how to talk for the first time ever in front of screens, in front of the camera. So that has been really amazing. And I used to record her videos. I was very much shy. I was like a really introverted kid. I didn't know how to talk to people. I had zero idea. I still do to this date. Okay, I just try to come up with the best whatever I can say. I just talk about that. So yeah, my parents have definitely helped me out a lot. They have always been besides me. They have always supported me with whatever I want to do. So I feel that the parents that you have are like the biggest reason that you will be successful at whatever you will be doing in college or after college as well. If they're supportive of you, if you're not supportive, that can play a huge role in your career. Regarding what my friends felt, in the beginning I was just making videos in which I had this accented voice of me, just sounding like a US kid, which is completely strange, and I still feel weird about that. So because of that, my friends were like, "Wait a minute, this is not you." And I
Okay.
was like, "This is definitely me." And they were like, "No, this is not you." And so they just started ridiculing me and they were making fun of me. And after that converted them to starting writing hate messages on my YouTube videos and all that, and saying mean things and all that. But I realized that, and so I recovered. You will find that there is a great shift into the way I speak from the first video to the video that I make right now.
Right.
Okay, so but yeah, definitely, I'm proud that I did that. I'm proud that I spoke in whatever tone I was speaking at that time, because if I had not started yet at that point, I would not be over here. So I'm proud of myself.
Yeah, I think that's such an important point as well, because I think if you talk to any content creator, you ask them to look at their first videos, 100% of them will say, "Oh, that was very embarrassing. That was very
Yeah.
cringeworthy." I feel the same way. Like there's so many things, and probably if you ask me 1 year from now, I'm going to look back at the video today and look at my lighting or my whatever I'm doing, and so I could have done so
Yeah.
much better, because like it's a constant
Mhm.
process of learning and getting better. And I think that's one of the things
Iterative
that's really great.
improvements you'll be doing.
Exactly, and that's a very magical thing, right? The fact that you can
Mhm.
iterate and you can keep learning and improving is a really addictive thing about YouTube or just
Yeah, it's like this
content.
1% improvement every single video that you do, which on compounds and it becomes like 300% by the end of
Yeah,
the year and all that.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, cool. This is really interesting. So I wanted to talk about, like, when you look at your seniors in BITS, what is the typical path after graduation? Like, what percent of people will just get a job in India somewhere, or come to the US for a job, or do a master's degree? And if you do master's, where do people typically go?
Yeah, so in India, especially in my college, most of them will go for jobs in top IT companies. And the people that do not go for jobs, they are, first of all, they're like the only 2% that will not sit for placements. And 1% would be going for graduation for like their masters. And in that percentage, they are mostly people who will be going to US and will be studying over there, and they mostly just take up computer science, or if they want to go to MBA, then they do that. And then the 1%, the rare people who tend to make businesses and to create wealth in the
Right.
terms that Naval Ravikant describes. Uh, so those were the people that I'm really excited about. Okay, I just love talking to them. I have connections with them. I got to talk to Swiggy's founder, who himself is a Bitsian. I got to talk to founder of Big Basket, who is also a Bitsian. So I was just talking to them in a meet that happened in my college. That was really interesting. And right now, I feel that there's definitely a lot of people in my college who don't want to sit for placements, and this entrepreneurial mindset is coming slowly into the minds of every single college student, because they've been seeing how little they get paid in just normal jobs, and if
Mm.
they would have to just climb the corporate ladder in order to get to the place that they want to go. But yeah, they've definitely seen a lot of successes in startup world, so
Mm.
they are attracted towards it. I have a lot of seniors that, number one is Harish. His name is Harish, Curious Harish, basically. He's also a YouTuber. He has like what, 80,000 subscribers, which is crazy. I was also motivated by what he is doing. He's a third year, right? So he also has like 2 startups that he's running. That is really amazing. He has a complete team of people. And second is Codedam, which is a college startup started by a 4th-year student who will recently be graduating, and he's not sitting for placements. Which is crazy to think about because he has like a lot of experience in coding. He's been coding from the last 7 years, also done a lot of freelancing and all. So that's what I am just observing in my college.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So if you go the route of the entrepreneurship, is there infrastructure in place at Bits or just in Goa in general to do that? Like, for example, here in Silicon Valley, you have seed funding, you have angel investors who will help you, you have incubators which will help you cultivate an idea. So does that exist where you are?
Yeah. So in my college, I think that it depends on you. Again, you have 0% attendance policy, so you're not going to the lectures. You are spending your time with your friends building some application or some website. You can do that definitely, but I feel that they just don't promote it enough. They have a course called as New Venture Creation in which they tell you how startups can be built. But as far as promotion goes and as far as helping you out goes, I think there's definitely a lot more that they can do.
Okay.
I have seen a lot of instances in which they just don't allow. Let's say we want to go to Bangalore for some reason. Okay, that is like the Silicon Valley's startup hub for India for some startup pitching or some event, and we go out and we ask for leave for the professors from the professors, and they would just say that no, we won't allow you to go over there. If you want to go, then you would be marked as absent or something. We'll cut your marks or something. So that's a little sad for me to say, for me to see something like that, but it's fine. But talking about the funding that you get, there's definitely a lot of momentum over here. There's a lot of startup investors that would invest in your startup, angel investors and VCs. So this is definitely a booming field in India. I myself have sat in a lot of pitching rounds in which we are pitching to all of the investors, and we see if they can invest in a startup. So yeah.
So how do you think about your own journey? I mean, you still have a couple of years, I guess, until you are graduating. But it sounds like you've done a lot of entrepreneurship already. So how are you thinking about what you want to do after?
I am still unclear about that. So my parents definitely support me, but like parents in India have seen a lot of scams in 1990s. There have been multiple people that have scammed India, and because of that, a lot of businesses have fallen down. So they prefer stability, and they want the next generation to be stable and have a proper life. So they prefer that I would focus more on studies and get good CGPA so that I can get that placement. But inside of me, that is why I'm starting my own YouTube channel, trying to monetize on that, trying to network with people and just build relationships so that after some time I can just leverage that and come up with a new, like, let's say a startup idea, whatever I come up with. So that's what I want to do. Definitely, I don't want to go for jobs, even though I love learning to code. I would rather build apps myself and work on my own idea than work for Google or something. But yeah, definitely that is a plan B. Definitely, if my startup doesn't work out, I would go for Google or any other company in the IT field.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I feel like the work that you're doing on YouTube and the podcast, I view it almost as potential energy, where like you have all these people who are following you. You're making some amount of money from YouTube, but more importantly, whatever business idea you have or whatever startup you have, you can actually leverage your audience in order to help you with your business. I feel that's a very powerful thing, and it's really smart that you're doing that at such a young age right now.
Yeah, I'm just trying my best to just explore as many things as possible. I want to grow this startup called Codedam, which I'm a part of.
Yeah.
And I just want to see if this thing would actually work out. If it does, that would be just amazing.
And can you give the quick pitch? What is Codedam, just for people who aren't familiar?
So Codedam, for people who don't know, basically it's a platform for you to learn to code by applying your learnings and by building projects, because that's something that is missing in courses like Udemy, or even if you see YouTube tutorials, you just don't have that infrastructure in place on YouTube that you can just take a look at that and you can start coding on the side, on the video, and start coding. So because of that, we thought this would be a cool idea to just implement. And again, Mehul has been into the industry of creating coding tutorials from the last 5 years. He has his own YouTube channel. So he has collected a lot of feedback. And based on that feedback, he thinks that this is a great idea. And I too believe in what he's saying. So we're just trying to get as much momentum as possible. And so far it's been pretty good, but we want to take it to the next level in the next year.
Yeah, that's great. I'll leave a link to that as well in the description. There's one more question before we kind of start wrapping up. I wonder, when you talk about, you mentioned this briefly earlier, when you look at the instruction at BITS, or just in general in India, my sense from talking to a few people is that it's kind of more theoretical. Like it's much more thinking about doing things on paper rather than the practical, like build a project. I'm just wondering, do you agree with that assessment? And how do you, like, if you were able to have a magic wand and change one thing about the instruction quality in India, what would you change?
Yeah, so that is definitely true. I feel that a lot of these topics have just been theoretically taught to us,
Mm-hmm.
and that has increased a lot because we are in online classes, in Zoom classes, and because of that, a lot of these classes that were previously supposed to be practicals have now converted into just theoretical. But I would, even if we were in college, this would have been quite theoretical itself, because a lot of the concepts, they just don't have the equipment, or even if they do have the equipment, they just don't have enough of it to just provide it to 400 people who are in the electrical degree. So that's what I think. But we really need to focus on getting as many equipment as possible, setting up labs. I'll give you an example. We have this course called digital design, in which we just learn how to create chips, from basics and gates, NOR gates, to learning about MSI components and how to create ICs and all that. We just had one project at the end of the semester. So for 4 or 5 months, we've been working, we've been just learning about the concepts, and we just had one project that we need to make. And even that was made up using the software tools. I have Arduino over here that I can use to make that, but not everyone has that. So because of that, they just told us to be doing it on the software.
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like there's definitely a lot of opportunity here. Like there sounds like one aspect is just like the physical equipment, like being able to have the resources to equip people, but also just a focus on building things. Right now it sounds very like theoretical, but when you actually do a startup, you're building something, you're actually creating something. Yeah. And it sounds like there is a lot of improvement to be had in helping people to actually try that out ahead of time. Okay, great. And Ishan, this is really enlightening. I mean, as someone who hasn't really gone through the Indian education system, it's really interesting to hear from your perspective what you like and don't like about it. What final advice do you have for students based on your experience?
Yeah, a lot of people ask advice from me, and I just always tell them that I'm just a 19-year-old kid. I don't know much about life, about world, about how economies work and all. Yeah. But even if you're still asking me, I'll just say that the only thing that kept me going is just being curious about things and just exploring as much as possible, connecting to people, asking questions, and being shameless with it. I just ask questions to random people, and they reply, and we just get to build this connection. And I just try to get their phone number, and we try to have a call. So just do things like that. Just build connections, talk to people. You might never know when you meet your next co-founder or your next friend that can help you out build something amazing.
Yeah, 100%. That's great advice. And I feel like just not being afraid to ask questions and cultivate relationships like this one is really valuable. So thanks for coming on, Ishan. I feel like probably we should do this again in maybe 6 months or a year, because I'm sure you'll be in a very different place. You'll have grown a lot by then. So we should check in again.
Sure.
Cool. Okay,
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, bye.